Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with part 2 of some behind the scenes customizing of my classic Zemo. If you missed part 1, click this video to go catch up, then come back and join me here. You're currently looking at Zemo as I left him in the previous part. Now in this video, we're going to tackle a couple of aspects of the character design, the loose fitting sleeve and the way the fabric billows around the top of the glove. Visually, I really like in the design how that contrasts with the rest of the bodysuit, which is tight fitting. And then secondly, we're going to tackle the belt. So I'm going to see if I have some suitable arms that I can swap in. Here's a container full of all my spare arms and hands. I have similar containers for legs and feet, and another for heads, etc. In customizing, I've learned the hard way to be organized, as nothing sucks like knowing you have the perfect part for a project and not being able to find it. So I've settled on these X-Men Classics Magneto arms. They've got a suitably baggy upper arm, weird tech stuff around the lower arms though, which I'll tackle later, but right now let's swap the arms. For swapping parts, I heat them by sitting them on an electric space heater. This is right beside my workbench. You could also use a hairdryer, and although for safety reasons I don't advise this, but some people do boil figures in water. I leave these on a low setting for 5 minutes, and that should soften the plastic enough that you can ease the parts apart and then swap them. In swapping parts, sometimes you get lucky and parts are a perfect fit. Here, these parts, not so much. With these arms, the top of them is just too long, preventing this ball part on the shoulder fitting inside the socket in the arm. To resolve that, I'm going to grind away some of that length at the top with my Dremel. Then with sandpaper, I'm going to smooth the roughness the Dremel leaves. Now I've reheated the arms to soften the plastic so I can ease the socket in the arm over the ball peg. Yep, that seems like a nice fit. I've now repeated the same with Zemo's right arm, dremeling and then sanding. And now after a few minutes to allow the plastic to cool, I'm going to make sure the arm still swivels, check, and give it a tug to make sure it's tight enough not to pop off as it originally did, check. Now to tackle the lower arms, looking at Zemo's original lower arms, it seems this glove part is slid on over the lower arm prior to the hand being added in production. So I'm going to see if by heating it, I can pop the hand off and slide this part off. Pop the hand back in and then remove the lower arm from the elbow. And we can do this as the heat has softened the plastic enough that we can ease the lower arm off the peg that attaches it to the elbow. And here I've already removed the Magneto's lower arms in exactly the same way. Fresh from the space heater, I'm now taking Zemo's lower arms and I'm going to ease these over the peg in the elbow on the Magneto arm. Then once the lower arm is in place, I'm taking my pliers and pushing the peg through all the way to make sure it's fully attached. And now I'm going to do the second arm. And the important thing to remember is I'm doing all this while the parts are fresh off the space heater and the plastic is still soft enough to allow me to do this. If you try this and it's not working out, you may just need to apply more heat to the parts. And any other questions you have about kit bashing and part swapping, you can check out a tutorial. It's called Customizing 101, link to which is in the description beneath this video. So now that the parts are in place, you may notice a hole in the arm there where I removed a weird tech piece from the Magneto figure, and then his lower wrist is malformed from where the glove sat, so those need to be filled out. Plus I need to sculpt the way the fabric billows around his lower arm. So time to break out the epoxy clay, and if you have any questions about epoxy clay and an introduction to using it, you can check out a second tutorial I've done. The link is also in the description beneath this video. It's called An Introduction to Sculpting for Customizing. And to recap my sculpting technique from part 1, I'm using a cocktail stick to shape the epoxy clay, dipping it into water that's in this jar. As epoxy clay is very sticky and the water will prevent the cocktail stick from pulling the epoxy clay away from the figure. Then just smooth it with my finger and that's that hole filled. And as I flesh out out the malformed wrists. In case you're curious, in real time, all the sculpting in this video probably represents about an hour's work. Then for the fabric baggy sleeve, I'm going to roll out the clay into a long tubular shape. Then I'm going to lay that around the mid forearm and then work the clay back and forth until it forms a uniform shape around the arm. Then when I get the general form of the billowed fabric sleeve, I'm then going to work in the detail of some fabric creases, and I'm using the cocktail stick to do this, exerting some pressure to form some indentations in the clay that give the impression of creases in fabric. And then repeat all over again for the right arm. And so with that sculpting done, the next element in the character design I need to tackle is Zemo's belt. Now I've searched through my fodder high and low and haven't found any other kind of belt I could use, so I'm going to have to use that of the Marvel Legends Baron Zemo. I don't mind using him just for his belt, as he is one of the cheapest and easiest legends to track down. Plus he is the father of the Zemo I'm customizing, so poetic he gives his life for his son. Seems like this is just a glued on rubber piece. And to remove it, you guessed it, I'm going to use my electric space heater, becoming quite the star. I'll be soon spinning him off into his own YouTube channel. And the idea of applying heat is that the glue that's attaching the belt part to the action figure will be softened by the heat, meaning we can pull the belt away. I'm actually going to take the liberty of removing Zemo's legs, just so I have less action figure to work this belt off over. It's a bit of a wrestle, but there we go, the holster also pops off, and now we need to trim that skirt away with a pair of scissors. Now with the belt removed, I need to wrestle it onto our custom Zemo. And just in case I need him for another project, Papa Zemo can join my mountain of fodder. As for custom Zemo, I just realised I'm a paint colour short of what I need to finish him, so you're going to have to stay tuned to my channel for the final part in which I finish custom Zemo. So I am only making these behind the scenes videos by request as something you guys want to see. I have had a huge positive response to part 1, but if I'm honest, these videos are a huge pain in the ass to shoot and edit, so to continue seeing them, please show me your appreciation by hitting the thumbs up button right now. Check out the description beneath this video for links to my Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Click those links and connect with me there too. Hope to see you in my next video. Bye.